At one point, FaZe Clan had the entire world in a chokehold.
Give it up for FaZe Clan!
Millions around the world, myself included, all wanted to join FaZe Clan. But in recent times, FaZe Clan has been on a downward spiral, with owners allegedly scamming fans, being accused of heinous acts, and so much more. But how did this all happen? It's the start of 2023, and FaZe Clan's stock price falls below $1 for the first time since going public in July of 2022. The company is now at risk of being unlisted from NASDAQ, a stock market exchange. Upon this, the beloved organization starts facing significant financial losses and now has to lay off 20% of its employees to receive long-term stability. But this was just a small appetizer of what was to come, because in early March, one of hip-hop's greatest legends, Snoop Dogg, resigns his position from the board of directors, despite joining a little over a year ago. Fast forward to September of that same year, FaZe Clan is still facing financial troubles and now decides to pull the plug and fire their CEO, Lee Trink. This was probably one of the best and worst moves they've ever made, because a month later, FaZe Clan was acquired by Gamesquare, a company that connects brands. All of FaZe Clan's founders, Banks, Temper, and Apex, are now appointed back to their respective leadership roles, meaning they once again have a say in the organization, which makes perfect sense considering what's going to happen in 2024, which is arguably one of FaZe's best years in a long time. However, despite being acquired by Gamesquare, who has also been suffering on the stock market, FaZe Clan is still in a terrible spot. The once beloved organization has completely fallen off in the eyes of the public. There are hundreds of members that most people don't even know, and the spark that was once there is gone. So one of FaZe Clan's founders, Banks, makes a very controversial move that changes the organization forever. In April, Banks states on a podcast that he plans to cut a lot of employees from FaZe in order to perform a reboot for the brand.
Or value of it,
Yeah.
then wouldn't it be about keeping video game creators?
Well, for sure. I mean, and the people, we're cutting all kinds of people. You
Yeah,
know what I
okay.
mean? We're cutting the roster down significantly. We had something like 140 employees this time last year. I think we have 30 right now. I want to cut that down even further to like 10.
And for the first time in years, FaZe Clan was once again the topic on everyone's mind, but not for good reason. Many people believe this was just another way for Banks to make money, or just another failed attempt that would dig the organization in a much deeper hole. Because of Banks' controversial past, which we'll discuss a little bit later, the majority pushed this off as just a tactic for money and thought nothing of it. But everyone would be proved wrong a few weeks later after FaZe announces their official roster, which now consisted of only 18 people, meaning they had cut over 50 plus people who were repping the fallen off organization. And as expected, this didn't go over well. A streamer who was abruptly cut from the organization, Calais Renee, went on to Twitter to express her thoughts on it, and a lot of fans sided with her and showed hatred to FaZe Clan, which you can say was well warranted. At the time, Calais was one of the few people repping FaZe during their darkest hours, and was given no heads up about this reboot that was going to happen. Banks ended up responding to her, yet the public was still siding with her and disregarded his fluff reasoning. But this quickly changed a day later after FaZe Clan announced one of the 4 members part of this reboot, Blackboy Max. While the majority were happy, some people didn't support the vision. And this even carried on after they signed the last member of the puzzle, Lacey. But a few months later, this vision truly came to life after FaZe Clan would win Best Content Organization at the Streamer Awards.
People goes to FaZe Clan.
This was one of the most successful reboots ever done, and FaZe Clan now had their place back on the map, and swore to continue this for the next year. But little did they know, controversies were just around the corner. In March of 2025, Gamesquare, the company who currently owns FaZe, divested their remaining stake into FaZe Media. They were impressed with what Banks and the others were able to do for the brand, and wanted them to continue without any restraints. But contrary to popular belief, FaZe isn't actually fully owned by the founders or even Gamesquare. A sports betting company, DraftKings, actually invested $11 million into FaZe Media to help fund this reboot, and for 49% of stake in the company. This matters because it explains why FaZe Banks was forced to leave after some controversy that happened just a few months later. In late July, Banks would launch a meme coin called MLG, with help from fellow streamer Aiden Ross. Aiden supposedly invested millions into the coin and promoted it to his 40,000 viewers. And as expected, MLG quickly surged to more than 180%, then soon crashed to less than a cent. Screenshots started circulating of Banks allegedly blaming the situation on Aiden Ross, who later clarified that he didn't actually do it, causing Banks to follow soon after, also saying that he didn't scam anyone. Most people sided with Aiden, but the same couldn't be said for the FaZe owner, who has a history of alleged scams. The most notable one being his involvement in CSGO Wild, a website where people could deposit weapon skins from Counter-Strike and gamble them. He supposedly promoted the site with other FaZe members and was rigging it so he could profit, while no one knew he owned the site. So amid all this backlash, he announced that he's leaving the internet, and that includes his position at FaZe, which makes a lot of sense since FaZe Media had gotten this big investment and the others definitely wanted to keep it. So the solution is removing the problem. It's unclear if he fully left the company, probably not, but we do know that one of their signees from last year fully left just 8 days after this controversy. On August 5th, Blackboy Max announced that he has left FaZe Clan. A lot of people thought this was a joke since it's happened quite a bit in the past, and also considering that he didn't give a proper explanation as to why he left, only that the truth will be revealed at the end of the year. But it seems like he may have known something was going to happen, because a month later, FaZe Rain would come out and expose a fellow FaZe member for being a PDF file. At first, he didn't state who this member was and claimed he would the next day. During this time, former FaZe owner Banks couldn't wait and wanted to clear his name, so he released a 10-minute video on Twitter where he actually says Temper, another owner of FaZe, is the PDF file. Rain later confirmed on stream that it was indeed Temper. Temper obviously didn't let these allegations fly and released a 3-minute video where he clears his name. And you would think the situation just ends here, yet a day later it escalated to a whole nother level, where Rain says Temper is lying. And at this point it's just a lot of back and forth. Temper would eventually come forward and admit to it, but for whatever reason, Rain still doesn't fully take Temper's word and yet again says he is lying. Rain was actually able to dig more into the situation and found out who these two girls were. He plans on contacting them to get the full details so he could escalate it to authority figures and get Temper arrested. But this raises the question, why bring this up years later? Obviously, what Temper did was wrong, and even FaZe knows that because they posted their full roster, which didn't include the alleged PDF file. However, Temper's tweet has disappeared, and he now has founder of FaZe Clan back in his bio. So it's unclear what's really going on. If this drama continues, it obviously isn't a very good look on FaZe if your founder is bragging about messing with underage girls and lied about it. Keep in mind, Temper now has a son, and this could affect him later in the future when he's older. This still isn't a very plausible reason, but if Rain really contacted those girls and they gave him a rundown of what really happened, why are they not the ones filing this report since they supposedly told Rain the details recently? It just seems like there's something much darker about Temper for Rain to be so persistent, but we'll just have to see if Temper or even FaZe survives this year of controversy.